His body lay in repose at his mansion in Memphis. Crowds began gathering outside the Presley mansion last night, shortly after the announcement that the 42-year-old entertainer had died of heart trouble. The gates were opened at 4 o'clock to allow the Presley faithful to view the body. After all the hours of waiting, most of the fans were allowed but a few seconds to get a glimpse of Elvis and then were forced to move on. The crowd at the Graceland mansion was so large that nearly 50 people, overcome in the crunch, required emergency treatment, some of them taken away in ambulances. Just a short time ago, gates at the Presley mansion were closed and the lid of his steel-lined coffin closed to await burial tomorrow. At this hour, people in Portland, Maine would have been filing into the Civic Center to attend the first of a two-night Presley concert. Roger Quiroga was in Portland today. He has this story.
It was ironic that as we drove into Portland, Maine, the site of Elvis Presley's first concert stop on his new tour, that You Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog was playing on the radio. A song that put Elvis on the map announced to us the bereavement that Portland felt over his death. Ticket demand for Elvis Presley's concert had been so tremendous that a second concert had to be arranged. It sold out as quickly as the first one had. The set was getting its final touches, and the fifth floor of a local hotel was being prepared to receive the Presley entourage when the news of his death was announced.
Shock was the immediate and disbelief. We checked it out from all possible angles, not only locally but nationally, to see if the story was true, because we had been talking to the Presley people. They were ready to come into the building. We were expecting him. It was the eve of the performance, and his people were already in town. We had just sold out 2 shows to over 17,000 people. I stood in line for 2 nights, sleeping over, and the whole thing was just hard to believe.
In Portland, like in every other city and town across the United States, Elvis Presley was a true working-class hero. They looked up to him as the realization of the American dream.
Elvis is just not the music with me. It's him. He set an example to me, the way he lived, his clean living, the way he used people, his sincerity, his honesty, his manners, the way he treated his mother. To me, he was a person.
Presley's fans were aware that the man was a multimillionaire. That fact never affected their loyalty. From rags to riches, they said, but he never thought he was better than any of us. In Portland, they were just grateful that he had agreed to play their town.
I was a kid. You were my favorite idol. I had all your back. And I mean today that I would get a chance to meet it.
This is going to be your first time to see him? A dream of a lifetime?
Yeah. I say it what?
You were probably a big fan. Sitting in this empty arena just hours before Elvis Presley was scheduled to perform, one can imagine the mass hysteria that would have been upon Elvis Presley's arrival. Now with his death, the silence gives you a feeling of mourning. Many people will never understand the loyalty and identification of a fan to an artist, but I'm sure that as many fans throughout the world will agree with me when I say, Elvis Presley is dead. Long live the king. For News 5, I'm Roger Quiroga in Portland, Maine.
Another stop on the Presley tour was to have been Hartford, Connecticut. The Civic Center there set up a refund booth this morning, but didn't do much business. Most people kept their tickets, apparently as souvenirs. And as for those who wanted their money back, there were plenty of eager customers offering to buy those tickets for a performance that would never be. For some, it was a sign of their love for Elvis. For others, it was an investment.
As one might imagine, Presley's death has resulted in a rush of record buyers to Boston music and record stores, cleaning out the stocks in some instances. Those who spread his fame over local radio stations today reflected on the impact the King of Rock had on his fans and on the new music sound. Roger Goorich reports.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog.
Elvis was no hound dog to the millions of fans who loved to hear him and to watch that famous pelvis in action. And Arnie Ginsberg, now a Medford radio station manager, better known at the height of his platter spinning fame as Woo Woo Ginsberg, told us today he didn't really know Presley, and there was hardly anyone who did.
Never met him, and he was a very private person. I don't know anybody who knew Elvis.
What do you think accounted for Elvis's great success?
I think, first of all, at the year 1956, it was the Eisenhower-Graceland era, and music was kind of dull. Doris Day, Eddie Fisher's had said all they had to say, and people were looking for something new. And Elvis took this combination of the black music, the rock and roll, the rhythm and blues, and the country music, mixed them together, and he just had a great natural style, and he had a super talent. He could communicate. People loved him. And I think, at that time, it was teeny bop music. The kids had their own music, and at last they had their own superstar. And he was very colorful, the way he played the guitar, the way he dressed, the way he looked. He was their rebel with a cause.
Saddened Presley followers spread a banner saluting their star over Storrow Drive today. Presley biographers and friends are debating reports Presley was heavily into drugs and let the drug habit run his life. Ginsberg said nothing he knew of Presley would lead him to believe the singer was a victim of severe drug addiction. Roger Goorich, News 5, Medford.
Incidentally, the doctor who performed the autopsy said there was no evidence of any drug abuse. There have been scores of eulogies to Elvis, but perhaps the most notable came today from President Jimmy Carter. In a statement issued by the White House, the president described Presley as someone unique and irreplaceable, whose music and personality permanently changed the face of American popular culture. The president said that Elvis was a symbol to the world of America's vitality, rebelliousness, and good humor.
Boston Patrolman John O'Brien may keep his house after all. We'll have...